Piers Morgan repeatedly blasts MP for an x27. Losing control in x27. Of Knife Crisis, News Corp is a network of leading companies in the worlds of diversified media, news, education, and information services. Piers raged at Crime Minister Victoria Atkins MP after she repeatedly avoided his questions on putting cops back on the streets. Piers Morgan blasted a senior MP for losing control of Britain's devastating knife crisis during a fiery interview on GMB. Piers raged at Crime Minister Victoria Atkins after she repeatedly avoided his questions on putting thousands of cops back on the streets. Tory Minister Ms Atkins was on GMB to discuss a major knife crime summit at Downing Street today after there were a further 9 stabbings over the weekend, with 4 in London. Becoming frustrated with her question ducking, roared, "Stand up and represent what most people in this country are actually feeling right now, which is utter fury at this knife crime epidemic which is exploding around our ears." The minister was asked a number of times if she personally believed there should be more cops on the streets. "Stand up and represent what most people in this country are actually feeling right now, which is utter fury at this knife crime epidemic." But instead told Piers and Susanna Reid that it was not that simple, replying, "I wish that putting more officers on the streets would be the single answer to solve all violence." But the MP simply replied the government was forced to make difficult decisions when they came into power to reboot the economy in 2010. She added that police officers were really important and made reference to £970m increase in funding on last year. Piers continued to push his interviewee to give an answer on police cuts and eventually said she would like to see more cops on the streets. However, Ms Watkins added it was not that simple and told him not to make that mistake. "Perish the thought that I would think that there was any correlation between taking 20,000 police off the streets of this country and an explosion in knife crime." This enraged the presenter, who fumed, "Perish the thought that I would think that there was any correlation between taking 20,000 police off the streets of this country and an explosion in knife crime and youth violence. Why would I possibly think that 20,000 officers back on the streets may teach these kids a lesson, that they shouldn't be walking around stabbing each other? I must be stupid." Piers asked Ms Watkins if she thought taking the officers off the streets in the first was a good idea. But the MP refused to answer the question and said that the police cuts were a decision orchestrated by police crime commissioners. This led Piers to end the interview by saying she sounded a bit slippery. The fiery interview came after AA on Friday, hours before another man was knifed to death in Clapham, South London. Lynette O'Kellenbeck was the 3rd person to be fatally stabbed in the UK in just 48 hours as the knife crime epidemic continues. Gavin Bruay was also killed on Friday, becoming London an x27's 32nd murder victim this year, with 21 of the fatalities from stabbings. We pay for your stories. Do you have a story? Our journalists strive for accuracy, but on occasion we make mistakes. For further details,
raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.